Hello and welcome back to the Colin Cadmus podcast. This is episode number 5, and I'm extremely humbled, honored, and privileged to be speaking today with Trish Bertuzzi. Trish is the founder and CEO of the Bridge Group, which she founded in 1998. And prior to that, she spent her entire career in sales, started in telemarketing, which is essentially an SDR today. Trish grew into becoming the founder and CEO of one of the most well-respected consultancies in the business, and she's the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Sales Development Playbook, which I highly recommend everyone grabs a copy of. Actually, mine's right here.
Yay!
I swear I didn't stage that either. I've been rereading through it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Trish, I'm excited to have you on the show today. It's great to finally get to meet. It's another episode of someone I feel like I know through LinkedIn, but we're finally speaking face to face. So welcome to the show, and thanks for coming.
And it's my pleasure, Colin.
I appreciate it. I like to start out, I'll just give a quick recap for anyone who maybe is starting on this episode as the first one, but season 1 is about sales success stories. And my goal here was to put together a first season of a podcast where I get to connect with people who've built incredible stories that really started in sales, regardless of where it led them. So I started, my first episode was a weird one, was Corporate Bro, who started in sales and went down a very unique path of creating viral content. Then I spoke with my first CEO, Wiley Sorelli, who was the founder, the co-founder of Seamless and then founded Single Platform. I then spoke with Carolyn Betts, who obviously started in sales and then built out Betts Recruiting. I spoke with Aaron Ross, who also started in sales and has done incredible things. And now we're here with you today, Trish. So I'm excited to learn a bit more about your story, share with the audience. Obviously, I know a lot about your story from the book, but I want to kind of dive into it. I like to start out. So I've got a total of 10 questions here for you. I like to start out with just a high level of like how you got into sales. Obviously, You started your career there. Things I imagine were quite different there. So I want to kind of start with how'd you get into sales, and then what's the big differences that you see today versus then?
Well, for anyone who's already heard this story, I'm sorry if I'm boring you. But how I got into sales, I actually was a waitress at a steakhouse back in the day, long time ago, when the day of the 3 martini lunch, for executives.
Is this a steakhouse that is still well known?
Ken's Steakhouse in Framingham, Massachusetts. Ken's salad dressings. Still around. Anyway, so I was a waitress, and every single day I had the same station and I had the same people. And this CEO, VP of sales, and CFO from a tech company used to come in every day, and I'd wait on him every day. And finally, after, months and months, the CEO said to me, he had a Hungarian accent, but I can't do that. But he said, you know what, Trish? You are rude, obnoxious, arrogant, and hungry, and you should be in sales. And I said, well, good job. And he did. I love it. Right? He did. Now, I don't think salespeople are rude, obnoxious, or arrogant, but, whatever. It was back.
Perhaps that was on the job requirement many years ago.
Perhaps it was. And so he gave me a job, by the way, for $1,000 a month. Okay. Selling something called the computer installation data file. So literally, this is how old I am. We sold paper information on where mainframes were installed. So people could sell to the people that had the mainframes, right? But we did it over the phone, right, which back then was like...
That's interesting. So there was no door-to-door.
It was over the phone.
So this must have been one of the first companies making that move, or I imagine it was starting at this time?
I didn't know. I just landed in it, right? So got the job, started doing it, crushed it, and I'm like, this is the easiest job in the world. Why do people say sales is hard? I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the process. I loved people saying no to me so I could get them to yes. Rejection didn't bother me. I was super active. I just loved it. And I did really, really, really well. And then from there, it just went on. I went to another tech company. I became a manager, then a director, then a VP. You know how it goes. Yeah.
Do you stay in touch with that CEO?
No.
Be interesting.
He's
I'm
probably
glad you
dead. He's probably dead. This is a long time ago. He's probably dead, would be my guess.
Well, he created a legend. I hope that he's looking down and he realizes that.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
What would you say, Trish, obviously every year it changes and there's probably new answers to this every year that goes by, but looking back today, what's the biggest glaring difference in sales from then to now?
I'm not sure there is a big difference. I got to be honest. I mean, the tools we use are different. We think we're different. I don't think we are. I'll tell you why. Here's what to remain consistent. Them before us. You always have to think about your buyer before you think about yourself, right? Anyone who's successful knows that. Them before us. You're going to know their business, know their challenges, know how you help them. You have to be passionate and believe in what you're doing and love it, right? That hasn't changed. You have to be process driven. You have to understand how to be articulate. I mean, I think all of the fundamentals have remained the same. What has changed is all the ancillary stuff around it, like the tech and the tools and the tricks and the tips. But fundamentally, great salespeople have and always will want to help their customers build a better business.
Makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of the technical process that has changed, but the people in it and sort of the emotions to sales really lives the same.
It really is. And that's a good thing.
I think it is, right? It says that I think sales is such a natural thing that we try to reinvent it all the time. We're always trying to think of the next cool thing, the next trick. But really, I think to those of us who are natural sellers, right? Obviously, there's those who are natural and there's those who teach it. But I think that those general principles have just stayed the same, right? Sales is what it is. It's building a relationship, it's persuasion. And then I guess the methods in which we deliver it is really what has changed quite a bit. And so that's what I'm excited to dive in a bit on. But before I touch on that, I saw a quote on your website and I wanted to ask you about it a little bit because I never
look at my own website, so this is going to be a total surprise.
So you may not, maybe you don't know the quote, but hopefully you do. So it says on your website, and hopefully I pronounce his last name right, Jonathan Franzen, who says, one half of passion is obsession and the other half is love. And it goes on to say on your website that you have a passion for inside sales.
I do.
The reason I wanted to ask about that is because I think from the career salespeople that I know, I'd say it's almost like half of them love sales and half of them hate it, but they love the money. And so I found it interesting that you say you actually love inside sales. And I do too. And I think it's about half, like I said. But I don't think that everyone who is great at it loves it. So I'm curious to dive into that. Do you love the reward? Do you love the grind? Do you love the journey? What is it that you love about it?
I mean, obviously I love the reward. I mean,
we all do. Yeah. It's hard not to.
I will tell you though, that I don't focus on the reward. I focus on my sense of achievement. I focus on really helping people. I firmly believe our services help our clients. I don't focus on the reward. I always have to go to Matt and say, do you know what I closed this year? I don't know. I don't know. So to me, it's about great conversations. Nothing gets me more jazzed than having a great conversation with someone about a business issue. So I probably let's say I do 4 to 5 sales calls a day, scheduled sales calls. And I would say 3 of them go nowhere. But I still feel really good about them because I spent the entire time brainstorming with someone on how to solve a problem. And when they don't go anywhere with me, I'm going to say 80% of the time, I said, I'll find you the right person. And I go find them the right person to work with. So to me, it's about, at the end of the day, and I mean this every day, do I have a sense of accomplishment and feel good about the conversations I had and the people I tried to help?
And that's enough for you.
The coin? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love the coin. But that's not at the forefront of my mind every day.
It's interesting to hear that. And I think that there's so much hidden advice in that. I think there's a huge struggle with mental health. This is what I'm getting at. The reason I asked you at this, a big struggle with mental health in sales, right? I've seen it my whole career. I'm sure you have as well. There's always the people who just love it, enjoy it, and they're good. But there's the people who this kind of destroys them, this line of work. And for some of them, maybe it's because they're just not cut out for it and they're not very good. And failure can destroy anyone. But I've also seen great salespeople kind of just get mentally destroyed in sales. And that's why I had a feeling that's what you're going to say. And that's why I wanted to put that in there, because I think it highlights that when you do focus on the journey and a little bit less on the end goal or the goalpost, you can actually enjoy the grind and you can enjoy the hustle. And I think you have to do that to want to do this long term. And that's the reason I put it in there, because I started by saying I know about half the people who just don't really enjoy the journey, but they're great at it. They earn money, so they do it. But I don't think they'll be able to do it forever.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not getting up every single day and being excited about what lays in front of me for the day. I can't imagine. I know people they call it the Sunday night dreads.
Yeah.
They start dreading Monday. From 4:00 on Sunday on, they're dreading Monday. I'm like, I could not live like that.
I've been like that, but I've always made changes in my life when I've got like that.
Yeah.
Right. I got like that at my first job at CVS out of college after 4 years, and I packed a U-Haul and I left. And then I went and got into entry-level sales, and I grinded it there. And I got to a point where I was banging my head against the wall. You go to the next thing. And I think that's important for people to recognize when you feel that way. If you're not excited to go to work, or at least content with going to work, it's probably time to think about something, some sort of a change.
Passion matters.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. So Trish, I want to transition a little bit, kind of skip ahead to, you decided to start your own company. And I think that's a kind of a good segue. Is you've got this sales career. You went from waitressing. Almost reminds me a little bit of the Barbara Corcoran story. I don't know if you know her, but she started waitressing.
I had her money. Yes.
I love her.
Me
her.
Too.
She's my favorite shark. I don't know if you watch Shark Tank.
I do.
She's great.
Yeah.
And so she started out waitressing as well and got in. That's why I say it reminds me of that. But anyhow, so you found your way into this new career path. You loved it. You're good at it. What makes you decide to then set up shop and do your own thing?
Okay. So first of all, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So let me say that. So my dad, PhD in chemistry, brilliant guy, had his own chemical company, 5 kids, right? I'm the oldest. 5 kids, not one of us graduated college. Myself.
You do have that older sister vibe. I can see that.
Oh, watch out. I'll go to my mom mode and then we'll see what happens to you. But yeah, so 5 kids, no one graduated from college. Every single one of us owns our own business.
Wow.
Yeah, weird thing, right? My poor dad, all he ever wanted was someone to follow in his educational footsteps. Luckily, my son stepped up, graduated magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, the whole thing. He filled Papa's dreams because I sure felt it, right? But so my point is, we all had an entrepreneurial spirit. And I was, in 1998, the VP of sales and an equity partner in a company called Telesales Inc., which was focused on the B2B tech space. And we were the inside sales teams for tech companies, not SDRs. We actually were building quota carrying teams, but it was outsourced, right?
Got it.
And I kept, and I was the VP of sales, so I was doing the selling, and I kept talking to these CROs and VPs of sales, and they're like, yeah, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you hire these young, hungry reps, have them pound the phones, and they thought revenue would shoot out the other end. And I'm like, you guys, this is as strategic as building a channel. This is as strategic as building field sales. This is strategic. It's not young, hungry reps pounding the phone. It was making me insane. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to start a consulting practice. Just going to do it. If it doesn't work, I'll go get another job. And that was 22 years ago.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
It worked. Yep. I love that story. It's similar to my sister's. I love when businesses are started from just being a part of a business and not liking the way it's going and saying, I can do this better.
Yeah. I think that's how almost all businesses are started, right? So what did your sister do?
Yeah. So she's a lawyer. She graduated school, was I don't think they call it a residency. I forget what they call it when you're working, at your first practice. And so
is it an intern?
It's not called an internship. It's not a residency. I forget.
Associate?
It might be associate. She might have been an associate. Maybe that's the word. But anyway, she's low rank, right? She's a new person there. And so long story short, they were just doing a lot of sketchy things. They were forging her signature on documents. They were being, unethical to clients and this stuff. And so, she started to make friends with a couple other of the people there. And she's had a conversation at lunch with one lady and said, we have the relationships with all the clients. Our boss is, an asshole, for lack of a better word, never comes in, big shot lawyer. He's got the whole practice running itself. And they said, why don't we just take these clients? They like us. And they did. They took all his clients and they went and started their own practice. Literally all of them, maybe with the exception of a few. And overnight they had their own law practice. And so
that's awesome.
Well, goes to show you
the makings of a television show.
Stealing your boss's company. Or just doing it better, right?
Yeah.
That could be the name of it, doing it better.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. Awesome. So can you, I want to make sure we put a little bit of info in here for anyone who doesn't know what the Bridge Group is. Do you want to quickly describe what you guys are up to today, what you're doing, and how they can find you?
Sure. So we're a services business focused on primarily the B2B tech space, worked with over 400 some odd clients. In our services fall into two buckets. One is strategy work. Like we spend a ton of time helping our clients figure out what their go-to-market strategy should be. Not product market fit, but from a sales perspective. Where do I want my revenue to come from and what resources do I need to apply to go get that revenue? So we build out strategy and implementation plans. On the tactical side of the house, we do interim management. We offer SDR coaching. We sell candidate assessments. We write a ton of message and process. So we do a ton of work around writing sequences, cadences, full boat playbooks, you name it. So really anything where you need some bandwidth and you need some expertise around virtual selling, we probably have a service that would fit.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Very similar to the world I've recently dove into. I don't know if you know, but I've left and got into consulting. Curious to ask you, at what point did you make the decision to go from, solo consultancy to building a team?
Don't do it. No.
I honestly don't want to, and that's why I ask.
Well, here's the thing though. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read $1 Million Consulting, but on your own, there's only so much you can do. I actually always just wanted a lifestyle business. But then I had the opportunity to hire Lori Page, who I had worked with at Telesales Inc. And Lori's been with me over 20 years now. She's one of my partners. So I'm like, all right, Lori and Trish, lifestyle business. But then I had an opportunity to hire Gail, who I had hired for 2 of my clients, and he knew she was awesome. So I'm like, okay, Lori, Trish, Gail, let's go. Lifestyle business. And then Cindy, and then Janet, and then, Matt and Kyle joined. And then it was not intentional in that I didn't say, hey, we need another consultant. I'm going to go find one. It was more, these people are amazing and they want to play with me. And how lucky am I?
Yeah.
So I have kept my business relatively small with intent. Because the other thing I only do is I only hire people who have actually done the job at the director or VP level for tech companies. That's just my philosophy. If you haven't done the job, how do you?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Who's going to hire a consultant who hasn't done it?
Oh, lots of people.
Oh, well, yeah, they do. I imagine that doesn't work out too well, though.
Yeah. And not only who hasn't done it, but who's still not doing it. Like I make outbound calls every single day.
Yeah. That's been the eye-opening thing for me, like getting into consulting is like, I am now my own SDR, my own AE, my own CSM. I'm my own everything. I have to type out the invoice and send it out. I'm doing literally every detail. And I like it, right? There's definitely some things that I'm like, all right, I should find someone to like take care of my invoices. I should find someone to, do some of these things for me. They don't need to be an employee, right? They can be outsourced or something. But so I want to chip away at some of those tasks, but I don't think I want to bring on a team. But I could see now that you tell that story, like how that could just kind of unroll on its own without really planning to do it.
Very organic in our very, very organic, and it worked out beautifully, and I have no regrets.
It's interesting to hear that. I might have to consider it. Like, I have obviously more demand than I can handle as one person, which is a nice place to be for a lifestyle business.
Colin, you referral.
Well, I'm gonna have to send some your way and that's why I asked these questions. I asked it to Aaron as well, and Scott, who's also in similar boat as me and thinking about like a team. I also asked to Jake Dunlap, and like, he's like, build a team. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm enjoying this. He's
Mr. Hustle and Grind.
I don't know where the guy gets his energy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. God, I don't know either.
And he's got kids and stuff too. Yeah, he doesn't stop. All right, cool. Let's
How's Aaron? He doesn't even like 10 kids.
Aaron has 9 kids.
9, I knew.
9 kids. Yeah, the guy is unbelievable. I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine he's got some help in the house with 9 kids. But and I know a few of them are older, probably taking care of themselves. But he loves it. And as a matter of fact, we talk a lot about that on the podcast episode. We went down this whole rabbit hole of parenting and
yeah, he's amazing. He's such a family man. I love it. I love his story.
He's awesome. I love that guy. I want to shift gears a little bit. I like to talk a little bit about pet peeves and the things that drive you crazy. What are you seeing on the outbound side specifically? Or you could talk about AEs too if you want. I imagine it's probably more prospecting, but like, if there's something today that drives Trish crazy when it hits her inbox or her voicemail, what is it? And what's the piece of advice to not do that?
So nobody calls me, actually, which is hysterical. It shows how few people use the phone, which is the most powerful instrument in prospecting there is.
I imagine Richard Harris. He tweets out his cell phone number all the time as a joke to show that no one picks up the phone to call him.
Mine's on. You can find mine in 35 seconds. Of course, I can find anybody's in 35 seconds, but mine I intentionally put out there, right? But so I guess what annoys me is lack of preparation. Like sending me emails to try to sell me an ERP system. Really? I'm not blaming the sellers, by the way. I'm blaming their management teams.
Yeah.
So lack of fit, trying to prospect me with massive lack of fit, I find highly annoying. That's a major pet peeve of mine. Another pet peeve of mine that has something to do with selling is people who spend so much time on their personal brand. I'm like, when do you have time to do your day job? Like, you're on LinkedIn 24/7. If you're not commenting, you have a day job. Someone's paying you. Go do your job for them.
I know. I think about, like, I got involved in LinkedIn after I finished, after I got into leadership. I don't know how I could have done this when I was selling. Like and granted, I will say in defense, perhaps a little bit, that it doesn't take probably as much time as it looks like for some people. Although I think
shows.
Yeah, I think some people do just probably sit on LinkedIn all day. Like, I personally have a strategy for it where I actually spend far less time than it probably looks like I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean about sellers that sit there and do that. And then they still will send the unprepared message to you. And it's like, you're staring at LinkedIn all day. How come you can't do a little research, right?
Exactly.
I had somebody say like, hey man, like, what did he say? Something like congratulations on your new job at Colin Cadmus LLC. And it's like, really? Like, did you even read? Like, come on.
I was born
congratulations on starting your own company. Like, it's just little things like that. But let's dive into the coronavirus. So we've had
let's not dive in.
Well, let's dive into the sales side of it. So I think we're on the end of this thing, right? I think we're getting out of it soon. It sounds like vaccines are getting shipped, this and that. So we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, I think the selling environment has changed permanently.
It has.
Right? And so I want to get some thoughts from you on what has changed and what reps need to do, to handle that essentially.
So, I mean, obviously remote working is a dramatic impact. I mean, you can't just call a corporate office anymore, try to figure out who's at what extension, or get their office direct dial, or send them something using Sendoso, or whatever the case may be. So remote put a whole spin on this. There are definitely ways to work around that, mobile numbers, you name it. So it's the industrious among us who have figured out how to address that issue. But I also think people have less capacity to tolerate what I call marketing gobbledygook. Like, don't give me the long answer, give me the short answer. Like, the purpose of my call today is, or, you know, if I hear we're the leading provider of, or, you know, if every email you send me, I can tell as a template. Or I think this has forced us to be more human. And and I don't think that's a barrier. I think that's an opportunity to up your game.
Yeah.
Is to really communicate in a style and with language that shows empathy, establishes credibility. I think the human factor, those who figure out how to leverage that in their sales process, are those who are going to win long term.
Completely agree. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think in a way, and perhaps this spans beyond sales and just into like social, norms and whatnot as well. But I kind of think what happened from coronavirus in large and effect to sales, it's almost what was already happening, but it's been enormously accelerated.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people were already kind of shifting to remote work. People were getting more difficult to get on the phones. Phone numbers were more difficult to get. People were people were getting very numb to being put in someone's cadence and receiving, the email, the phone call, the LinkedIn, this and that. It's predictable. I think this has accelerated all of that, which I think could actually be a good thing for us, 'cause it's forcing us to open our eyes and change. Right. And I talk a lot about this with Aaron Ross. He came up with, this model that then I then think like Sales Loft and outreach, right? They made it too easy to do this stuff that now it's not really that effective, and you have to think outside of the box. And so let's talk about cold calling for a little bit, because I think that's probably the big piece that's gotten the most difficult right now, just actually getting someone to answer the phone or getting their phone number. How do you think that has changed, and how do you advise people to use a cold call today? Is it different than how it was 10 years ago?
So first of all, I never use the word cold.
Okay.
I call it outbound, because it's not the call that's cold. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You can find out everything about someone practically if you invest the time. So I don't, I say outbound because, once again, I don't believe in the term cold. I do think, and I'm going to stick by this, that unless you're a commodity play, that with inbound you get what you get, with outbound you get what you want. So if you're not focused on really, really honing in your outbound strategy, you are leaving revenue on the table. Your competitors are going to go get it, right? So, there are certain parameters to outbound that have to work for it to work. You have to be super tightly focused on your ideal customer profile. You need to completely understand your buyer persona. You need to have a story to tell these people that will resonate with them. You need to add value. You need to be compelling. You need to develop relationships. But outbound is a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty. Embrace it, love it, get it.
Do you have a specific preference in terms of how you structure a cadence, or does it vary based on the client?
It doesn't vary based on the client. It varies based on the buyer persona. So for instance, we did a research study with Modern Sales Pros and Sales Hacker a year or so ago called the research is the Sales Engagement Guide. And we surveyed 3 buyer personas, sales, ops, and marketing, about how they like to be communicated with. Very different.
Yeah.
Sales loved the phone, marketing loved email, and ops just wanted content. So we build strategies based on what's your buyer persona, what is their preferred choice of communication. Not that we're not going to use all of them, because we are. You just might weight one more heavily. So right. I think that's kind of our approach.
That makes sense. Do you tie in with phone calls, with your, let's call it your intro script or your voicemail script? Do you change your strategy on what you say in there depending on that? Like, if it's someone who doesn't like to speak on the phone, but you're going to leave them that voicemail anyway, instead of saying call me back, are you saying check my email? I emailed you yesterday.
Good point, Colin. We very rarely say call me back. If you want to reply to this, there'll be an email in your inbox to which you can do so. Or, sometimes we'll say, call me back. But it really, once again, depends on the buyer persona. Are they going to call you back? Are they not going to call you back?
Yeah, I've found that callbacks are increasingly difficult to get, but that the voicemail and even just getting someone to answer the phone is increasingly difficult. You've got, there's spam blockers. I mean, you can actually turn off incoming calls from any number that's not saved in your iPhone now. Like, people are doing that stuff. So it's more difficult, but you still have this beautiful voicemail that you get to leave, and it gets transcribed right into their phone.
Voicemail. What is a voicemail? A voicemail is an audition, right? You're an actor. Voicemail is an audition. Are you prepared? Can you play that role? Do you know what to say? Do you convey emotion? I mean, if you think of them as mini auditions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a drama queen, so for me, I love voicemail, you know what I mean? But once again, if you think of it as an audition and you're telling a little piece of your story that supports all the other little pieces that you've delivered, I think, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I'm a big advocate of just the multi-channel, outreach and try to drive people back to whatever means of communication you think they're most likely to use, which is usually email. And so I love the voicemails, and I've been advising people to actually test their voicemails on themselves and see how the transcription is. Because a lot of people, I think, don't listen to them. They just read them. And when you get the ones that are just, you can't read them, I think they end up just getting deleted. So I think it's important to actually have a cold call script, a voicemail script that you're using words that can be easily transcribed. And that is skipping straight ahead to getting right in front of someone's face, which is pretty powerful stuff. So I love that. What do we have here? Oh, all right. So this topic I love. So I want to talk about sales leadership, and I'm going to be putting out a lot of content soon for people who want to get into sales leadership, are thinking about it. So this is, I get so many questions on this when I do AMAs. This is like the top subject for me, is salespeople who aspire to be a leader. And so I dig in with people, and what I often find, and this started way back from when I even got into leadership. Every rep comes to you and say, how do I become manager? How do I become this? And, I always start out with, why do you want to get into sales leadership? And I have to hear a convincing story there. And I rarely do, because most people don't know what they're really getting into. So I'm curious what thoughts you have, or how you would handle that conversation. What do you say to someone who's a successful AE, they're doing really well, and they're thinking about that next step? What's your advice to them on how to decide, am I meant to be a leader, or should I just keep crushing, selling?
Well, I'm going to support you in the why. Sales leadership is a bitch. It really is.
Yeah.
So what I say.
That's why we all become consultants.
There you go. There you go. There's enough of us to go around too. Here's the thing. When you're a sales leader, you have to embrace the fact that your income is tied to so many people and so many factors over which you have zero control, and you need to be okay with that. Because if you think you have control over all that, you're wrong. You don't. The board is going to hand you a ridiculous number, because that's what they do, right? And then you have to even up that number, dole it out to your reps. Maybe there's product issues, no control. Maybe you inherited a bunch of reps who can't sell, no control. I mean, there's so many factors that are out of your control in a sales leadership role that I just think it's incredibly challenging, and very few people are well suited for it. And I can say that because I was not, am not, will never be.
Can you talk a little bit about that? What did you discover about yourself that made you realize you're not cut out for it?
I have zero patience. If I tell you something once and you don't get it, I'm like, what? Like, what? I have no ability to hire great salespeople. In the first 5 minutes in the interview, either like you or don't. Horrible.
Interesting. Horrible. I find that hard to believe. I would think you'd be a recruitment
magnet. I'm not allowed to hire. No. Horrible.
It sounds like you like to just move quick, and you have no patience, and that that can be irritating for a team, I imagine. Yeah.
Oh, nobody reports to me here at the Bridge Group. I don't know if you know that.
I know that. Yeah,
Not
I've
one
heard that.
soul, and that's by design. Believe me, by design. They just leave me alone to go do my thing, and they're off running the business. Yeah, but yeah, I think before it was like SDRs who want to become AEs just because they think they should. I think the same is true of AEs, but now sales enablement. What a great segue, right? Yeah. RevOps, right? What a great place to end up. I mean, like huge impact on an organization. So I think now more than ever, there's other avenues for salespeople to pursue when they want to take the next step in the process.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm glad you brought up the enablement and ops piece, because I've recently seen some people who probably wouldn't have been great AEs that moved into that and became incredible at it and grew to love it.
Yeah.
And I kind of backed you into that question because I knew what your answer was, but I'm glad you shared that, because I think it's important for people to see how incredibly successful you've become, but you accepted, like, I'm not going to be a sales leader, and then that's fine. And I think so many people get wrapped into just, they feel like they need to move up, right? And they feel like they have to announce that promotion at some point in their life. And they get so consumed by this, and it overtakes them. And in hindsight, it's like, if you become a sales manager and you're not good at it, you're going to get over that really fast, and you're just going to wish you didn't do it. So we try to give people the real advice there, because becoming a sales leader, like, it's so exciting and cool to get that announcement and put it on your LinkedIn and tell everyone you're a manager. But then on Monday, the job starts, right? And you actually have to deal with it, right? And there's just so much that comes with it. And so anyhow, I'm going to put out a course on how to guide people through that decision and what they should do. I think it seems like it's the one thing that's not out there. So that's something I'm going to work on. But cool. Trish, what kind of stuff are you guys working on today at the Bridge Group?
So,
do you guys have exciting announcements? Anything cool coming up?
Yes. Our next sales development report will be out in January.
I love those reports, by the way. How many people do you have working on those? Is it just you?
No, it's Matt.
It's Matt. Matt's your son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the brains at the Bridge Group.
I love those reports. I look forward to those every time. Have you guys done one on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was curious just to ask, so have you guys done one on average tenure of VP sales?
Well, I can tell you it's 18 months.
I know that. I remember Gong did it. I've been hoping someone would do another one. I actually pinged Gong. I'm like, come on, we need the 2020 report.
You know what? We might have it. We have a CRO compensation report available on our site. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I'll bet it's in there.
I'm curious if the 18 has gone down. I have a feeling it has.
Maybe.
It's possible. Yeah.
Maybe. We do live in crazy times. Maybe it has.
Well, that's why I think it probably did. Yeah, because a lot of us lost our job over this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Please continue.
I have no idea what I was talking about, buddy.
We're talking about what Bridge Group's up to. What's exciting?
Yeah. So we're going to release. We're going to release that report. So what are we up to? I'll tell you what changed. So COVID hit in, let's say, March. And I took like 5 weeks. I just stepped back and went, okay, whoa. What do our clients need from us now more than ever? And after talking to a lot of our clients, what we came up with was we started offering just a service where we would write you a sequence or a cadence for one buyer persona. Because people were used to either inbound or crappy outbound, and their pipelines were decimated. So I'm like, okay, don't panic. We're going to help you do outbound well. And so we wrote a sequence, and we got them going there. And we did it for a lot of our different clients and got them on the path to building their pipelines back up by using modern selling strategies. And it has worked remarkably well for our clients. That's not something we ever did in the past. It was a COVID solution.
Was this sort of like a COVID cadence, like you were rewriting to reach out on behalf of like the current times of what's going on? Was that sort of what you were helping them do, like craft
Well,
a new message?
First of all, we never mentioned the word COVID or these times or new normal. We never did any of that. But it was more just saying, look, you've never been great at outbound. You have to be great now to get people's attention, and we're going to teach you how.
Got it. So these are people who were heavily reliant on inbound. That went away.
Or even had crappy outbound.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're using Outreach and Sales Loft and all of those wonderful things, but, you know, maybe not using them incredibly well.
Have you seen a pattern, you know, a sort of a success pattern of what is working the best during these times from a strategic outreach approach?
Well, it depends on your buyer persona and what you have to say, like, and who you sell to, right?
How about an example? What would you say if you think back like to your clients or what you've seen over the past year? Is there one that has just particularly impressed you with how they've overcome the times, and maybe there's an example there of what they've done?
Well, yes, except I'm not sure I'm comfortable sharing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
I feel protective with my clients and sharing their information.
No, I understand. I should have realized that before I asked. Okay, Trish, those are the questions that I have, but yes. I always like to leave a little segment here for anything that's hot on your mind. Like, what are the hot topics for Trish in the last few weeks?
I'm back on the team selling bandwagon. I'm going to start writing about team selling because I think it's making a comeback.
You're probably going to like co-sell. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out co-sell.io, I believe it is, that Brendan Cassidy is working on.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Very much in the realm of team selling. I'm very much on the outside of it. I know very little bit about it, but I'll throw a little bit of a plug in here. I think the general concept here is they are building something. I believe there'll be technology around it that is designed to help you sell as a team with external partners. So integration type partners, things like that. Yeah. So it's all the type of stuff that we've all been doing in SaaS. But his point is, and he's very right, we're not very good at it.
No.
And so I believe this is a company, a platform, some sort of a tool that is supposed to facilitate that. So
well, thank you, Colin. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. There should be some good stuff coming there.
Yeah.
Cosell.io, I think it's called.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Trish, this was awesome. We'll have to do it again sometime. It's great to finally catch up. I love are you in your office right now, or is this your home?
This is my home
nice
office.
Spot there. Your home office. It's nice. Awesome. Yeah. Well, Trish, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on. I hope that you and the family are doing well out there.
Thank you.
Enjoy the holidays, enjoy the time, stay safe, wear your mask, social distance, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on LinkedIn soon. Do you want to throw in any plugs? Where can people find you? Where can they follow you?
LinkedIn. Best place.
Oh, you know what? I have to ask. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. How in the world did you get to, what do you have, 200 some odd thousand followers on LinkedIn?
Last time I looked, over 260,000.
Is there a secret strategy?
Yeah,
or is
organic. I have no idea.
You've just been doing it for.
I am not intentional. You can see. I mean, you don't know me by now. Like I didn't have any. No, I don't post. I post when I have something to say. I'm not on there, but when I do, I think people pay attention, and I have no idea. But Lordy, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, don't hate it, right?
No,
awesome.
Don't hate it.
Well, good stuff. Everybody follow Trish Bertuzzi. Get the copy of the Sales Development Playbook. Is the best place to purchase that on Amazon?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And please go buy it. Fund my retirement, people.
No, seriously. It's an incredible book, and it's not, you get a lot of content in here. It's a good book. Get the hard copy. Maybe you have an audio book too, I imagine?
I do.
You do? Is it your voice? Do we get to hear you?
Let me tell you. Quick
awesome.
story.
Yeah, please do.
Audiobook. You know me, drama queen. I think, I am going to rock this thing. So Matt, who is the boss of me, makes me audition against professional readers.
No way. But yeah. I love hearing the author. I don't like them if it's not the author.
Well, it's not me and it's a man.
Oh, it's not you.
It's not me and it's a man. And apparently I failed miserably at reading my book. Really? I guess I hit the wrong words at the wrong pace.
Wow.
whatever.
Well, I stick with the hard copy. I like reading it because then I'm hearing your voice in my head, I think.
Well, there you go.
Good stuff, Trish. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you on LinkedIn.
All right, I'll be there.
Take care. Bye-bye.